Ave Legion and welcome to my channel. My name is Ludi and today we're gonna do our aggressive expansion and coalition management guide. In this guide we'll be discussing about what is aggressive expansion and how you get it, what is the best way to avoid it and lower it, and how to manage coalitions. If we get the video to 1,500 likes, I'm also gonna do a trade companies guide. Guys, if you enjoy watching my videos, consider subscribing. I'm really hoping to get an Ironside Computer sponsorship at some point once I reach 50,000 subscribers. I cannot do that without your help, so please consider it. The first thing we need to do is ask, what is aggressive expansion? Well, aggressive expansion is basically a modifier that you get which prevents you from blobbing like crazy. If you don't know what blobbing is, it's basically from expanding too much in the early game or in the game in general. If I take these two provinces in my situation here, I will have a coalition of quite a few nations due to me having over 50 aggressive expansion modifier, which is the threshold for letting these nations join a coalition against me. I'll be doing this, however, and as you can see, if you go to your aggressive expansion map mode right now and you hover over your neighboring countries, there's a lot of nations that can actually form a coalition against me. The threshold for coalitions is obviously minus 50 AE relations with the targeted nation. There are actually three main modifiers that influence how much aggressive expansion you get. The first one is actually your regional modifier. As you can see, the game is divided in various regions. We have North Germany, South Germany, France, etc, etc. Whenever you take a province that is within this region, you will be getting aggressive expansion with the other nations in this region more than you would be getting aggressive expansion with nations outside of this region. That being said, you also get more aggressive expansion, 50% more, for all neighboring nations or adjacent nations that are the same religion as the country you've attacked and whose provinces you've annexed. So by taking over Lüneburg provinces, which is a Catholic country, I am getting 50% more aggressive expansion penalty with all of my neighboring Catholic countries. You get a 0% modifier for heretical countries. That means, for example, Orthodox countries, Coptic countries, and minus 50% for heathens. That means it's cheaper to get provinces from Sunni, etc. countries because they are a heathen country compared to our base Catholic religion. This works vice versa as well. If you're a Sunni country and you take Catholic provinces, you actually get 50% less aggressive expansion penalty. The second modifier is the cultural modifier. So what does this mean? Well, cultural modifier is actually very important when you decide what expansion path you're going to go into, because you get 50% more aggressive expansion for the same culture. So whenever I take Saxon culture provinces, I get 50% more AE with other primary Saxon cultured nations. So when I annexed Magdeburg here, I got 50% more aggressive expansion with Goslar, Thuringia, and Saxony because they are Saxon countries. That is also multiplied with the fact that I took Catholic provinces, which means that I got double the aggressive expansion impact with the other Saxon nations because they're also Catholic nations. At the same time, other cultures within the same culture group, that means Pomeranian, Lower Saxon, Westphalian, and so on, get an extra 25% aggressive expansion modifier whenever I take Saxon provinces or provinces that belong to a nation within the same culture group. You do take 0% modifier for unrelated cultures. So if I take Sorbian, for example, provinces, I only get the 50% increase from religious, not from culture. And last but not least is the CB modifier. CB modifier, basically you get aggressive expansion based off of whatever casus belli you declare your war with. If I have a conquest casus belli, I get 100% aggressive expansion since it is a conquest declaration of war. This can be lowered if you declare, for example, the Deus Vult CB, which is 75% aggressive expansion, not 100% for every province that you take on heretical and heathen nations. And of course, if you do have cores, for example, Stettin has a core on this province here. If they were to declare war on me with the reconquest of Uckermark, they would only have 25% aggressive expansion from taking back this province. Later down the line, when you get tech level 23, you also unlock Imperialism CB, which basically means also 75% aggressive expansion declaration of war. Or if it's the same culture group that you start off with, it's only going to be 50% aggressive expansion. Next, we'll be discussing how to avoid and how to lower aggressive expansion. One of the most important things when you want to avoid and lower your aggressive expansion is having high prestige. 100 prestige means 10% reduction in aggressive expansion impact. You also can get in the Age of Discovery the Justified Wars Splendor Goal, which gives you another minus 10% aggressive expansion impact. You can get minus 20% aggressive expansion impact from the espionage ideas. Some nations even have aggressive expansion reduction modifiers in their national ideas. Brandenburg, however, does not. But the most important and easiest way to lower aggressive expansion is to improve relations. Having better relations with the nation means that you lower your aggressive expansion considerably faster, so you need to make sure that your diplomats are always working on improving relations with your neighbors. The easiest way to lower aggressive expansion is once you have enough administrative efficiency later down the line in the game. Absolutism, for example, offers up to plus 25 admin efficiency. You can get admin efficiency from national ideas, from missions such as the Prussian missions, German Dithmarschi missions, and of course from your tech levels 17, 23, 27, you get an extra 30 admin efficiency. In essence, you lower minus 1% per 1% of admin efficiency. So if you have 60 admin efficiency, you have a 60% aggressive expansion reduction. Also, being the Curia controller, if you're Catholic, means you get 20% less aggressive expansion as well. And if you take provinces from a different continent, you get minus 10 flat aggressive expansion by taking those provinces. There is unfortunately another special modifier for being a part of the HRE. Basically, if you take provinces from the Holy Roman Empire, you will get more aggressive expansion with all of the other nations that are a part of the Holy Roman Empire, and with the Emperor himself, of course, which might also ask you to return unlawful territory. There's an easy way to fix this: just ally and improve relations with the Emperor, and he will not ask you for unlawful territory, but you still will be getting extra aggressive expansion with all of the other members of the HRE. So remember that you take more aggressive expansion from same culture, same religion, members of the HRE whenever you're playing in the HRE. Especially in the early game, the easiest way to expand, be it within the HRE or somewhere else, is releasing vassals that have cores on other provinces, such as Gascony here has a ton of cores on the French lands. And then we declare war on France with the Reconquest CB, which is going to be 25% aggressive expansion rather than 100%. Especially within the HRE, it's really great vassalizing nations that lost a lot of provinces and then feeding back these provinces. So always be on the lookout whenever you're playing within the HRE for these kind of nations that you can vassalize and feed back the cores. Also, if you're playing between different religious groups such as the Ottomans, or if you're playing as the Byzantines, remember to be dodging aggressive expansion by attacking Catholics, waiting, and whilst you're waiting you can attack Sunnis or attack Orthodox, and then after those war go back to Catholics and so on. Basically dodge your aggressive expansion between different religious groups and different regions as well as culture groups. Also take into account that whenever you are the Curia controller, aside from the 20% aggressive expansion reduction, you can also excommunicate nations, and nations that you border which are excommunicated will only cost you 50% aggressive expansion to take their provinces. This is insanely great if you're playing within the HRE or if you're playing within the high aggressive expansion regions such as North Italy. So to really sum it up, the best way to avoid aggressive expansion is to eat up an entire culture group one at a time, as well as one religious group one at a time, since if you don't have anyone in that culture aside from you, there's nobody to be in the coalition. But most importantly, no matter what you do, have a strong army. Which leads me to the next question: how to deal with coalition. If you have a little bit of aggressive expansion and as such coalition, how do you deal with that? Well, that's actually pretty easy to answer. Whenever you see that you have a coalition forming against you, before it goes full-on coalition mode and the coalition becomes basically all of Europe, as it is in my situation, you need to start declaring separate wars. That means declare war on Austria, have a truce with them, declare war on somebody else who might join the coalition, have a truce with them, so that eventually, even though everybody hates you, they cannot form a coalition at the same time because they have a truce with you. Nations that have a truce, remember, cannot join a coalition. Nations that don't exist can also not join a coalition. All you have to do is time your truces perfectly so that you don't need to stress about a massive coalition against you. Right now, the only nations in the coalition are France, Denmark, Milan, and a few other insignificant nations. If I am to declare war on these nations, I can get a truce with them, and whilst I have the truce with these people, the other ones that join a coalition will be too weak and I can attack them again, as such dodging a massive coalition. Remember kids, AE is really just a number. There is a really cheesy way of lowering aggressive expansion, and if you don't want to see this super cheesy anyway, then skip for the next 1 minute. But if you want to see it, you're definitely never gonna stop doing it, so keep that in mind. The way you do it is whenever you get 100% war score against another nation, you offer them your core provinces. Be careful not to offer any provinces that have cores of other nations. So for example, here Rupin has the core of Rupin. Do not offer Rupin. Offer only provinces that you only have cores on. So that means all of these provinces here are only cores of myself. Offer as many as you can offer and then peace them out. Oh no, we just lost half of our nation. But look at what happens now. First off, we lowered our aggressive expansion and we have 17 aggressive expansion because we lost a lot of provinces. Even though we actually had 60 aggressive expansion before this, we lost around 40 aggressive expansion. And let's fast forward a little bit and see what happens. As you can see, Lüneburg is slowly getting a massive coalition of pretty much everybody in the HRE, which means that Lüneburg is going to be attacked in a coalition war, which will trigger ridiculously fast. Also, the Emperor likely will give you back some of your provinces, but aside from the provinces you get back from the Emperor, once this coalition war triggers, which just triggered, it's not going to take too long because it's literally all of the HRE against whatever nation you've done this to. So after they peace them out, you'll literally be getting back all of these provinces because in coalition wars, they cannot take provinces for themselves, the coalition members. They can only give back provinces to the rightful owners. In this case, that's me. I'm the only rightful owner here. There we go. In the peace deal, we got all of our provinces back. You just need to make sure that you restate them, make them full states again if you lost all of your provinces in particular states. And that's it. This is not technically an exploit, but it really is super close to being an exploit because this means that you can basically expand within the HRE without ever having to worry about aggressive expansion at any point. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, as well as leave the bell button on to get notified whenever I release a new guide. If we get the video to 1,500 likes, I'm also going to do a trade company guide. And I also want to give a very big thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Thank you so much, guys, for all the support you've been offering me. I wouldn't be here without you right now. If anybody else wants to become a patron or a channel member, you can check the links in the description. So until the next one, have a great day, everybody.